Yo, 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 what's good, y'all? All right, so I was in bed and I was on YouTube, and the algorithm recommended a YouTuber's video. It was titled, Should Solo Host Invasions Come Back in the Souls games? As I was watching it, I was agreeing with a lot what he was saying, but then as I watched a little bit further through it, it was a couple of shots fired at players like myself. So I said, you know what, we're gonna react and I'm gonna give my opinion on some of what he's talking about. The dude's name is, or the channel name is Ratatoskr, I think that's what it is. Ratatoskr. Must be Russian or something like that. Hit the subscribe button for him. Y'all send him a subscribe and all this and that, man. Don't worry about my channel. I'm good, man. I just do this for the hell of it, man. Let's check it out.
Before Elden Ring, in all previous Souls games, you could be invaded even if you were by yourself. In Elden
I
Ring,
agree.
this feature was removed. You could only be invaded if you were co-oping, or if you had used a Taunters tongue to summon an invader. This change is something I strongly objected to at the time.
I did too.
And the reason I objected to it was because I like invasions. I like
do too.
invading and I like
I
being
do too.
invaded.
I do
Being
too.
invaded throughout the course of a playthrough is something I highly value in my Souls games.
I agree with that he just said. The main reason why I value it as well is because it kind of adds a new element to playing the game. It's like once you beat the game and you know every enemy, what all the enemies do, what all the bosses do, having the invaders kind of adds that extra element that's just unpredictable. Like you don't really know what the invader is gonna do, what type of moveset he is, what type of build he is. That's the thing that keeps people playing these games. Well, people like myself, I'm a day oneer, so for pretty much all the From Software games, I'm a day oneer. The only one I wasn't a day oneer on was Demon Souls, but Demon Souls was the game that got me started.
But I don't like co-op, and I almost never use it.
I won't say I don't like co-op. Like I don't like using it playing the main game, but I don't mind going in and helping other people out. And sometimes I'll summon co-op if they want some extra souls. I'll summon someone in on a really tough boss, like a late game boss, just to get them some extra runes, stuff like that. That's the only time I'll really use it for myself personally.
Which means that in Elden Ring, going through the game for the first time and when I've replayed it to make my various builds has been a very lonely affair.
Okay, so on that part right there, I will only, like the first playthrough, I will only and always play solo, but I will always summon invaders in. I wish I would have done this with the earlier From Software games, but then again, back then, you didn't have to do Taunters tongue and shit like that. Like the invaders would just come in at random, but I think like, I'm pretty sure with the Souls games, you either have to have like a Stone of Ephemeral Eyes activated. Like that's what Demon Souls, Dark Souls, I think you needed to have humanity. I'm not sure with Dark Souls because I think I've been invaded without humanity and reverse Halloween. I'm not 100% sure if you can still get invaded like that though, but I think you can.
And the Taunters tongue is no solution to this problem, because the Taunters tongue is stupid. It sucks for two reasons. Number one, it's not an invasion if I invite someone into my game. I need non-consensual invasions.
Yeah,
I need to be walking around, dealing with enemies, and then on the bottom of my screen it says, oh my god, you've been invaded.
Okay, so on that part right there, I do agree with that. It's not an invasion if you invite someone to play. But at the same time, like when you invite someone to play, they don't come in right when you do it all the time. Sometimes it takes about 10, 20 minutes before you get an invader. So I do agree with what he's saying on that though.
And I need the potential to exist for that to happen in inopportune moments, not whenever I feel like it. And the second reason that the Taunters tongue sucks is that it doesn't just make me invadable. It doesn't put me in the same invadable state that I would be if I was co-oping. So when you're co-oping, you might get an invader at some point, and then once you kill that invader, there will be some time before you get another one.
Okay, that part, it depends on that because I've experienced it in different ways. Sometimes when I get a co-op, I get an invader right away. There's been scenarios where I will summon someone to co-op with me just so I can get invaders faster. And sometimes I've gotten two invaders. One invader will come in, kill the co-op person, and then it summons a second invader. So now it's 1v2. So now I got two invaders and just me. So that's the strategy you can use if you want to get multiple invaders, for anyone that didn't know that. But I see where you're going with that, though. He is kind of right on that.
which makes it a surprise if and when it happens again. The way it works in co-op is how it always worked in previous Souls games, even if you were by yourself. But the Taunter's Tongue doesn't do that. If it did that, then maybe we would have less of a problem. What it does is put you in a perpetual state of being invadable. So the moment that you use it, you're likely to get invaded. And the moment that you kill that phantom...
I mean, I don't have any data to really confirm that. Like, sometimes, like I said, sometimes it just takes a long while, and it seems like it prioritizes co-op over Toner's Tongue. It's hard to say based off of my experiences, so I don't have no data to back that up.
You're likely to get another one, and another one. And that, at that point, that has nothing to do with an invasion. An ideal invasion happens as you're going through the level. It's a surprise that occurs when you're doing other things. The Taunter's Tongue is just for dueling next to a Grace until somebody finally kills you.
Hold on, let me go back, make sure I heard that right, because I disagree with that.
Finally kills you.
Hold on, go back.
It sucks.
Play.
Surprise that occurs when you're doing other things. The Taunter's Tongue is just for dueling next to a Grace until somebody finally kills you.
I disagree with this. This is the first shot he fired. I completely disagree with this. Like, the reason why I use the Taunter's Tongue is not to stand by Grace just until you get killed. In most cases, I win most of my invasions when I use the Taunter's Tongue next to a site of Grace. The whole point of me using the Taunter's Tongue when I use it is when I'm doing like a new playthrough and I just want another element or I want more runes, because with high level invaders, they drop really high amounts of runes. So when I'm going through the game, I like to have that element of uncertainty. A new element has been added to the game, which is an invader. And then if I beat the invader, you get a large amount of souls or a large amount of runes. So I disagree with that completely. You said the whole point is to stand by side of Grace until they kill you. Like our purpose is just to die or something as a person who uses the Taunter's Tongue. That's funny as hell, though.
It sucks. It's no good. And it is for these reasons
this is just a rant right here. That's all it is.
That I initially objected to Elden Ring removing solo host invasions.
I do agree with that.
And I think all of those things are still true. I still believe all of that. But I've changed my mind overall. The problem was I was thinking about this from the perspective of the invaded.
Yeah.
I was thinking of what I wanted out of being a host. But from the perspective of an invader...
Everyone's perspective is different, though, so, I mean...
My opinion is almost the exact opposite. I don't ever want to invade a solo host ever again. Because when you invade...
This is the start of another shot fired. I've actually ran into some invaders that kind of... Like, when they come into my world, invade my world, they instantly leave back out. I always hate invaders like that, man, because I'm like, dang, man, you can at least have a duel. What the fuck?
A solo host, whether it's now in Elden Ring or back in the day with Dark Souls 3 or any of the other Souls games, one of a few things happen. The most likely thing that I see is that when you invade someone that's by themselves, they will be standing around in Bonfire.
Okay, I do agree with that. In some cases, like if I don't feel like running to go get my runes from some random spots, yeah, sometimes I'll just I'll summon an invader next to a Grace so that way I can get more runes. I'll beat them real quick, and then use the runes to level up with and get good at the same time. Like I summon invaders in to get better at playing the game. That's the whole point of doing that, because I don't feel like running through the stage to go get my runes back if I lose. So
you'll get somebody at the first Grace, or you'll get someone in Liurnia next to the Boiled Crab Shack.
Yep, that's a good spot to lure invaders at, because it's a consistent spot, man. They always coming in right there. Main reason why we use that spot is because it's a large variety of invaders. Like there's like, for the most part, you're gonna get somebody different every time.
And they just want to duel. You're being summoned there to fight in a situation where they have the advantage. They'll have maxed out Estus flasks, and you'll have half of whatever you brought into the invasion. They'll have...
Okay, so this part right here, this is one of them, if you know situations. Like, if you invade and we have a duel, there's no flasking, so it kind of levels the playing field completely. So in this situation, like if the red flash first, that's when I flash. Sometimes even if they flash, I won't flash at all. If they don't do enough damage, I won't flash at all. And they'll flash like 5, 6, 7 times until, or 6 times until they use up all their flash. And I'm like, I haven't even flashed once yet. So it depends. It's like I said, it's one of those if you know type scenarios. Like the vet soul players know what it is. The newbies like flash if you want to. Play how you want. It really don't matter.
The rune arc activated and you, as an invader, don't. These are Bonfire Duelists. And even if they don't have the rune arc activated.
Bonfire Duelist. That's he didn't gave it a name and everything. Like, man, I'm here to have some fun, get a good duel, get them runes so I can level my player up and get better at playing the game, man. That's called this Bonfire Duelist. That's funny though. I mean, I see why he would say that, but I guess.
And even if they don't use their healing until you use your healing. This is still just a duel. I did not come here to duel. If I wanted to duel, I would have gone to the arena. I have no interest in...
Okay, so this is another thing I want to talk about. So he's kind of right on this, and kind of like he probably doesn't play as much as I do, but like the thing about the arena is, yes, if I want to go and duel, I can go to the arena and have a bunch of duels to my content. The problem with the arena is there's a few problems. One is you're going to get a lot of the same people over and over and over and over and over again, and I didn't like that. I wanted more variety. When you summon invaders out in the lands betweens and in the shadow realm, you get a larger variety of different players because there's so many people trying to invade, and I want that variety of different players, different builds, different strategies. I want that new exciting element, man, that the arenas doesn't always offer. I mean, like I said, sometimes it can be pretty good on some nights, but there are other nights where this is another thing. There's other nights where it's really slow. Like there's no one coming in at all. But then you go into the lands between, go into the shadow realm, and you go and use the Taunters tongue, you getting people back to back to back. So it really just depends, man. But so that's another thing I kind of disagree with him on.
This. I came here to invade. I came here to stop a guy from getting to the end of the level. These bonfires.
So I understand why he thinks like that though. Like he's like, I think some invaders are like that. Some invaders invade just to have a good fight with the host and with hunters and stuff like that. They just do it just for the challenge and stuff like that. That's another thing I forgot to talk about. Like sometimes I just like to, well, that's more invasions, but some invaders do it just for fun, just for a challenge, a fight with another duelist and stuff like that, or with 2v1, 3v1 situations, just for a harder challenge. But some people just want to stop people from reaching their goals. So that's basically what this guy is. That's what it seemed like. He's like, I don't want to just duel. I want to stop you from achieving your goal. Like, that's what this seemed like, bro.
Duelists are especially
This dude is toxic, man. Kind of a bit, man. But respectfully though, but it's a little toxic, man. But then again, you know what? As an invader, I kind of caught myself doing that a couple times, like where they haven't reached the site of grace they're trying to reach, and as an invader, I come in, I was like, oh no, you ain't getting here. We're gonna stop you before you get there. So I understand why he would do that, because that's kind of the point of the invader, is to keep them from achieving their goal. So I see where you're coming from, though.
Pleasant because they clog up the available invasions.
See, that shit right there. I'm trying not to cuss, man, but I mean, I'm not taking it personal. But he said they clog up the invasion. I don't even know what that even means, bro, because they clog up the... That's a shot fired. That was the real shot that he fired at players like myself, man. Because, like, look, man, I'm just playing the game. I'm trying to have fun. We're not clogging up anything, man. Like, I want to duel an invader, man. Like, let me get them runes off you, man. Let me beat you real quick, get them runes. Now, see, when I do this, invaders come right back and they want to fight again because they get beat real quick, or I make them look like they weren't really good, and they come back like 5 times, same spot. So, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on that.
If they're using the Taunters tongue, they'll get prioritized. So when
that like I said, I don't have no data to confirm or deny that. Maybe someone else who's like a hacker and knows all the little tricks and stuff with the game. Maybe they know more on that than I do. Maybe there's some more information that I don't know about. But like I said, I can't confirm or deny that.
Whether you win or lose, when you go back
Or I can't agree or disagree with that.
to your own world and you try invading again, you're likely to get that same person because they're still using the Taunter's Tongue. They're drawing in invaders to them.
Yeah,
And this
like,
kind of situation,
like I said, is like, I'm not sure if that's I don't know if that's the case or not. If it is, then I would have to research it to see if Taunter's Tongue is priority over co-op. I would have to see that. It's hard to say, man, because I've seen in situations where I would summon someone in as co-op just to lure invaders in faster. They were coming in super fast, so I can't all the way say I agree with that. I think it just depends on how many people are playing or whatever. I don't know.
will arise even if the host isn't intending for that situation to arrive. So in Dark Souls 3, where you did have solo host invasions, what would often happen is a host will be going through the level, and then the host will see, oh, I'm getting invaded. And at that point, he will stop going through the level, return to the bonfire, and fight you there.
Yeah.
And he's doing this because he doesn't want to be in an extreme disadvantage. He's by himself.
No, I'm doing that because I don't want to lose all my souls. I mean, I guess I kind of agree with that, yeah, because I don't want to have a bunch of enemies and fighting you at the same time. But me, I'm a little different. Sometimes I want to fight you and a bunch of enemies at the same time. So it just depends on who the player is. So like, you may have caught me at a time where I'm trying to go through the level, fight the enemies, and fight you. I don't mind doing that. So, like I said, it just depends on who's using the Taunter's Tongue. So,
if he dies next to the bonfire, he can pick up his souls and continue onward.
Yep.
This type of player isn't intending to turn the invasion into a bonfire duel, but it is what ends up happening. And what I've noticed is that this kind of thing happens a lot less when the host has co-op partners, even if it's just one other co-op partner.
Yeah.
Because they know that having two people is an overwhelming advantage. And so hosts and their phantoms will be more likely to have the courage to pursue you into the level, into situations where other enemies get involved. And for me, that's the ideal invasion scenario. That's what I like the most out of invasions. The host has his phantom or phantoms, and he has twice as much Estus as I do. Mm-hmm. And because of the way invasions work, he's more likely to be at a higher level. The phantoms can't hit each other or interrupt each other's attacks. And in exchange, I have the whole level that they have to go through. Mm-hmm. There are lots of places with a high enemy density that are dangerous for them to attack. This achieves a kind of parity. It's not complete parity. The host still has the advantage, and he knows that. But there's a chance for either one of us to come out on top. Mm-hmm. But since the odds are in the host's favor, they're more likely to proceed into the level and allow me to make use of enemy NPCs. Even if he's unwilling and he wants to stay just out of the range of the enemy NPCs while still harassing me, I can go out from safety, attack the host's group, and if things are going badly for me, retreat back to the enemies, and from safety heal. Maybe I retreat back to the enemies, and one of the phantoms thinks that they can get me before I get to safety. They overextend, they push farther than they should be, and they give me an opportunity to counterattack. Having multiple companions gives hosts and phantoms the courage to be reckless. Not every time, of course, but it's far more likely. And for me, as an invader, that's the ideal invasion. A host and his phantoms organically trying to go through the level, and me interfering with them, using the level to my advantage when I can. Mm-hmm. And this ideal state is not something that happens almost ever when I'm invading a solo host. Because he's by himself, a solo host, even someone that's trying to naturally go through the level, will not continue to go down into the level, which can be hard enough for many people. He'd have to fight the enemies and me. Most people are not going to put themselves at that kind of disadvantage. They will fight me at the bonfire, or they will fight me outside of the enemy's aggro range. And I don't fault them for it. I'm not complaining that they do that. They should do that. But it's not very fun for me as an invader. I came here to invade, to be at a disadvantage, to have to fight a group, to get pushed back into the level, and to try and use that level to take out the host or one of the phantoms, making this situation easier for my...
The thing that's interesting about that is when he says, as an invader, he's expecting to have to fight a group, and like I said, you don't. It depends on what the scenario is. Like that may not be the scenario when you invade. Like when you invade, the group may have been killed already by another invader by the time you come in. uh it's just you and the host. So I've seen that scenario happen too. Like it happens to me all the time. And then like I said, sometimes I summon someone in co-op just to summon more invaders. The the co-op person gets killed, and then another invader comes in. Now I got two invaders. Sometimes I like that scenario, man. So I mean, it just depends, man.
Myself. I live for that moment when you're fighting a group of 3, and you finally get one of those phantoms to overextend and kill them. The 3v1 turns into a 2v1. The dynamic that had been here up until this point shifts because it's much easier to fight 2 people than 3. And if you manage to take out the second phantom, the host that had been pursuing you so aggressively, attacking you so relentlessly when he had his buddies with him, now finds himself alone. That's my ideal invasions, and it's not something that you're going to get if you're just dueling solo hosts by a bonfire. Now, admittedly, there is one situation involving invading a solo host that is super fun, and that's if you get a solo host that is way better at PvP than you are.
Yeah, that's
so
me.
You invade a solo host, and he's organically going through the level. He's killing enemies, he's picking up items. Maybe this is even his first time seeing this area. But then you get to him, and he's cracked. He's way better than you at this, and if you fight him one-on-one, you know you're gonna lose. So, you retreat back to the enemies, to heal, expecting that he's gonna stay out of the enemy aggro range, like most solo hosts will. But he doesn't. He chooses to continue to explore the level. He continues to pick up items, he continues to engage enemies that are in his way,
Okay.
and he will fight and chase you even if you retreat to what you think is safety.
Okay.
And so in this case, you will...
That's more the type of player I am, like when I do solo. Well, I do both. I do that scenario, and I do the bonfire scenario too, because sometimes I'm just doing it for a good fun duel. Most of them be easy, but in some scenarios I do it to just get runes, level up a build, level up a player. Because now they done took away all the glitches I used to use, so now I gotta beat bosses and farm invaders and stuff like that. So yeah.
Retreat from advantageous position to advantageous position. The host will come and attack that position, fight you off while killing off all the enemies, and when you run out of enemies, you retreat back to another advantageous position. And you continue this until either the host kills you, or you and the enemies manage to bring him down. Or you could make him run out of healing from having to engage in all of these encounters, making it easier for you to finish him off. This situation is super fun. It's admittedly rare. In all the time I've been playing Souls games, I can probably count the number of times this has happened in one hand. And so this brings me to what I would want going forward. Assuming future Souls games have invasions, how should they be structured? Well, in my opinion, the ideal situation is to have the Elden Ring system, where you can't get solo host invaded by default, but then have an item you can use that will let you get invaded organically, naturally, not like the Taunters tongue. The Taunters tongue should still exist and put you in a perpetual state of invadability. It should still remain as the invite people to come to your world and fight at the bonfire item. But there should be a second item that will simply put you in the same pool as people who are engaging in co-op. So what this means is that you are not perpetually invadable, and you're not guaranteed to get invaded right away. You are simply put into the same pool. That way you're not invaded right away, it's a surprise when it happens. There's a cooldown for when you are able to get invaded again after you kill a phantom.
Look, I'm not sure if he's right about what he's saying right there, because like he's still saying that Taunters tongue players are a priority. Like I said, I can't confirm or deny that. So I mean, from my experience, it don't really seem like we're a priority. I mean, just I don't know. It all seems kind of random. I don't know why he thinks that Taunters tongue people are a priority. I don't know why. Like I said, maybe there's more information on it. I'm not sure. I have to look it up.
And the effect persists after death, only going away when you turn it off manually. And this, I think, solves all of the problems. It solves the problem for me as a host, because it allows me to get invaded in a normal way. And hopefully any host that does the same is confident enough that they'll be able to fight off the average invader while also progressing through the level by themselves, hopefully providing a good interaction for both parties. As an invader, this is ideal, because most of the invasions I will get will still be with co-op groups, since by default, solo host invasions is turned off. If I get Taunters tongue people sitting at a bonfire, it'll be immediately obvious and I can just choose to leave if that's not what I'm interested in doing. And if I see a solo host going through the level naturally, then I can attack him guilt-free, since I know he's confident enough to put himself in that system. Anyway, that's the end of this video. As always, thank you very much for watching.
This was more of a rant than anything, man, but hey, he just has his way he wants to play Invasions. That's really all that was, though, man. But this was a good video, though, man. Definitely got my attention. I just had to do a reaction and a response. Well, I ain't gonna say response, just a reaction and my perspective from it. But anybody that checked this out, thank y'all for checking it out, man. Let me know what y'all think of this setup, man, because I'm trying to figure out some new ways to make content for make more gaming content.